Well, we begin with breaking news. A strong earthquake in the Aegean Sea has shaken Turkey and Greece. Rescuers are searching for survivors after the magnitude 7 quake caused a building to collapse. There is no information at this time on casualties. Let's cross to Istanbul now, where we can speak with Sinem Kusioglu. Sinem, this earthquake, we understand, struck just 60 minutes ago or so. What information do you have for us at this time?
Well, according to the official information we have, according to Interior Ministry, let me say, they have reports of 6 buildings that have collapsed after this earthquake. And according to Izmir's mayor, municipal mayor, they have received the reports of 20 buildings that have collapsed. So far, we don't have so actually the rescue and search teams are dispatched to the area. That's why we will be able to learn more accurate information as soon as they reach to the ground. But what we have heard from the officials is that they have also asked for extra vehicles and extra personnel that would help for the search and rescue teams. And according to the official information so far, 3 districts have been heavily impacted by this earthquake, Bayraklı, Buca and Bornova. And for Bornova district, an official said that since it's an agricultural area and it's a lowland, there is not high damage. But what we see on the pictures is that the damage seems to be high, and there are fumes because of the buildings collapsing because of the concrete. And we see those people who are trying to get to the area. And also Turkey's disaster management agency made an announcement saying that people shouldn't flock to the areas because they are causing traffic jam. That's why it is getting more difficult to reach to the areas. This is the situation on the ground, and what we have so far as an information about the earthquake, it was 14.5 kilometers deep under the ground. So it was a heavy shake for Izmir, despite this western coastal city is used to some earthquakes, because for the last 1 year, Turkey's western coast has been witnessing earthquakes very frequently. The magnitudes were always between 3.3 up to 4.5. Izmir, Muğla, those western cities which are across Greece have been witnessing those earthquakes. But this was heavy, this was a big one, and now there is a damage. And we know that surrounding cities, nearby cities also felt the earthquake, and there are reports of some small damages like cracks on the buildings in the nearby cities as well. And some people, even in Istanbul, were able to feel the strength of this earthquake, Hala.
Well, quite. As you mentioned there, this is an area which is used to seismic activity. The fact that so many buildings have been reduced to rubble, and we're showing our viewers pictures now of the plumes of smoke coming up from the city of Izmir, suggesting several buildings have come down in that. It gives a sense of just how strong this particular earthquake has been. Now, as you said there, Sinem, we still have no information on how many casualties, how many people have been trapped under the rubble of these buildings. But set the scene for us. Describe, if you will, what kind of city Izmir is. How large is it? Is this in an area that sees, for example, lots of visitors, tourism, because it is a coastal city on the Aegean Sea?
Yes, exactly. So far, according to the Izmir governor, the city governor, there are no reports of human death. But as you said, we don't know how many people are trapped under those rubbles. And the initial report suggests that, according to Interior Ministry, they have reports of 6 buildings that have collapsed. But according to Izmir municipality, the mayor announced that they have reports of 20 buildings collapsed in Izmir. It's one of the largest cities of Turkey, Hala, and for both domestic and foreign tourists, it's a very attractive area. It's a historical city by the Aegean coast across Greece, and also it is the point of this. It's a destination for the migrants who are trying to illegally cross from Turkey to Europe. through the agency. Most of the times they use some specific districts like Ayvalık and other places of Izmir to hire boats, those unsafe boats, to cross agency, get to Greece, and then to Europe. This is the illegal migration route. But when you come to the urbanization of the city center, the downtown is highly, there are very high buildings. It's mostly concrete. It's a crowded city because the city it does not only serve with tourism but also with industry and other services sectors. In the suburbs and when you go outside the city, the density of the buildings are lower and the height of the buildings are lower, but the city center that we mostly see on the pictures right now are highly populated, and there are too many buildings over there, which increases the risk of human loss as these buildings collapse. And as I said, so far we have no reports of casualties, but seeing that people flocking to the area, they are looking for their relatives or beloved ones under these rubbles, Hala.
Absolutely. And the pictures that we're showing our viewers right now, we do see crowds of people flocking out onto the street. This usually happens when there is an earthquake because it's safer to get out of a building. We are showing our viewers also pictures of people who are clambering over the collapsed buildings and trying to move rubble with their bare hands. You mentioned earlier, Sinem, that there have been certainly contrasting data being given by different seismic organisations, but certainly the US Geological Survey saying this is a 7.0 magnitude quake. Just to put this into context, back in 1999 there was a 7.4 magnitude quake in that area, an earthquake that was so strong it killed some 17,000 people, 1,000 of whom were in Istanbul. So these sorts of earthquakes, they will carry some kind of toll. Sin, were there any tremors felt in Istanbul where you're reporting from?
Well, Hala, Istanbul is also another risky city in Turkey that is facing a risk of a very strong earthquake. That's why the organizations, the civil institutions are calling for urban transformation, especially to back up, support the structure of those old buildings that have been damaged or that are potentially going to be damaged, or demolish and build new ones. And in Istanbul, we are hearing that some people were able to feel the strength of this earthquake, but it depends on where you are, because Istanbul is a very large city, and also it depends on the ground that you are staying on, because some parts of Istanbul are more sensitive when it comes to feeling the earthquakes coming from the Aegean Sea. And so far, we know that it has been felt in the nearby cities around Izmir. And in those cities, the officials have reported that there are some small damages in the buildings, like some cracks. But in Istanbul, as I said, so far, it is just some reports that people felt the strength of the earthquake. But Istanbul, that has suffered a huge earthquake since 1999, people are kind of ready for such an earthquake, a big earthquake. People are always in panic. I remember people used to live with some backpacks, some support bags in their corridors or inside their cars, in case an earthquake would happen, and they would need to run immediately from their houses. So today, it is going to be the same scenario for Izmir, because with this very strong magnitude earthquake, people will not be able to get in their houses because the size of the damage,